She had one job, one moment, one chance to change everything. And she said no. Ahsoka Tano, the one Jedi who wasn't a Jedi, stood face to face with Darth Maul. Listened to him say Anakin Skywalker was about to burn the whole galaxy down. And instead of joining him to stop it, she ignited her lightsabers and chose violence anyway. Like imagine getting handed the cheat codes to stop Order 66, skip Darth Vader, and prevent the rise of an evil space wizard. And you go, nah, I think I'll handle this solo. With backup from a bunch of clones who are literally 5 minutes away from turning on me. Solid plan, great thinking. Really Jedi of you, Ahsoka. Now don't get me wrong, I get it. Maul's not exactly the picture of trustworthiness. Red-face horns, obsession with revenge, kills people with a double-bladed lightsaber like it's a dance routine. But here's the thing, he wasn't lying. He had the whole thing figured out, and he begged her to help stop it. And she just didn't. And you know what's wild? This is the last chance anyone had to prevent Anakin from becoming Vader. Obi-Wan didn't see it. Padme didn't see it. Yoda was too busy speaking in riddles and vibing in the Jedi sauna. But Maul saw it, and the only person who might have helped him chose the high ground of moral superiority instead of, doing the one thing that could have saved the galaxy. It's one of the darkest what-ifs in Star Wars, and also one of the most fascinating. Because if Ahsoka joins Maul, everything changes. The Clone Wars end differently. The Jedi maybe don't get wiped out, and Sidious, well, let's just say he might have finally needed a plan B, and yet here we are. Living in the timeline where everything fell apart because someone couldn't team up with a psycho for 5 minutes. In this video, we're diving deep into the timeline that never happened. The one where Ahsoka says yes, Maul gets back up, and Anakin Skywalker never gets to scream about sand again. We'll explore what it means for the Jedi, for the Republic, and for the entire future of Star Wars if the galaxy's most unlikely duo actually stopped the greatest tragedy before it began. There's a moment in Star Wars that slips under the radar, a single scene that could have flipped the entire galaxy on its head. It's not Order 66 or the duel on Mustafar, or even the betrayal in the Chancellor's office. It's a quiet, eerie moment on Mandalore, when Darth Maul reaches out to Ahsoka Tano and asks her to join him. Now think about that for a second. He lays it all out for her. The fall of the Jedi, the rise of Sidious, Anakin's transformation into something terrifying, and for one brief second, she actually listens. She doesn't trust him, but she hears the truth in his voice. Because deep down, she knows something is wrong with Anakin. Something has been wrong for a while. What if she believed him? What if instead of fighting Maul, she stood by him? Not as an apprentice, not as a Sith, but as a desperate ally trying to stop the end of everything. It would have changed everything. The siege of Mandalore would have ended differently, Anakin wouldn't have reached the Jedi Temple, and Palpatine's master plan would have been in freefall. Picture Ahsoka and Maul storming Coruscant together. Not to destroy it, but to stop Anakin before he falls. That duo would be wild. A former Padawan and a rogue Sith hunting the Chosen One through the heart of the Republic. It's like if Batman teamed up with the Joker to stop Superman from becoming evil. Chaotic, unhinged, but just maybe effective. That's the beauty of the timeline we never got. It's dark, it's weird, it's loaded with questions, but it's fascinating. Because it takes characters we know and throws them into the moral blender. Ahsoka becomes the wild card. Maul becomes the prophet nobody wants to hear. And Anakin, well, Anakin doesn't get the chance to become Vader. And this is where it gets infuriating. Because we were so close. Ahsoka was right there. One decision away from derailing the Empire before it even existed. She knew Maul wasn't lying. She could feel it. But her Jedi training kicked in like muscle memory. And instead of stopping Anakin, she fought Maul and let the galaxy burn. It's like watching someone ignore every red flag in a horror movie. You're screaming at the screen, waving your arms, but the character just walks into the basement anyway. That was Ahsoka in that moment. Trapped between what she wanted to believe and what she needed to accept. And she chose wrong. And Maul, as crazy and violent and rage-fueled as he was, he had the truth. He was the one guy in the room not drinking the Kool-Aid, and no one listened. Not the Jedi, not the clones, not even the one person who had no reason to protect Anakin anymore. It's the classic Star Wars theme of ignoring the uncomfortable truth until it's too late. And yet, for all the missed chances and what-ifs, there's this aching sadness buried in the idea of Ahsoka killing Anakin because, as broken as he became, he wasn't just her former master. He was her friend, her mentor, her brother, in all but blood. Ending him before he fell would have meant ending that connection forever. Imagine her standing over him, lightsaber drawn, knowing that stopping him means killing the one person who never gave up on her. That's not just war, that's heartbreak. That's the kind of moment that shatters souls, the kind that echoes through the Force like a scream no one hears. And Maul wouldn't care. To him, Anakin is a pawn, just another victim of Sidious's twisted chessboard. But to Ahsoka, he's something more, someone more. She wouldn't do it out of hate. She'd do it because she had to, and that's a special kind of pain. The kind that eats you alive long after the battle's over. We've seen Ahsoka carry pain before. In exile, in loss, in the burden of survival. But this would have been different. This would have changed her, hardened her, maybe even pushed her toward something darker than she ever imagined. Because once you cross that line, even for the right reasons, you're never quite the same. This timeline isn't tragic because Anakin dies. It's tragic because Ahsoka has to kill him, and she has to live with the silence afterward. No redemption arc, no last breath confession. Just a ruined temple, a broken heart, and a galaxy that doesn't even know what it almost became. But man, imagine the power shift if she had done it. No Vader means no purge, no Inquisitors, no mechanical breathing echoing through the galaxy like a death knell. The Jedi wouldn't be hunted to extinction. Luke would grow up with a father who never turned, and Sidious would be forced to improvise. Ahsoka and Maul would have become the strangest force in galactic politics. He'd want control, of course, but she'd never let him take it. They'd be rivals pretending to be allies, constantly one step from betrayal, but somehow united by a common goal, keeping the Sith from ever rising again. The Clone Wars would have ended not with Order 66, but with confusion. The clones might not even turn. Palpatine's plan would be exposed too early, and his face might never melt into that Emperor scowl we all know and fear. The whole chessboard flips, and the pieces scatter into chaos. That timeline still leaves room for hope, because if Ahsoka can look into the eyes of the person she loves most and still make the impossible choice, then maybe others could too. Maybe the Jedi would learn from her, adapt, rebuild something stronger than the broken council they once followed. Maybe Obi-Wan wouldn't have to go into hiding. Maybe Yoda wouldn't end up sulking on Dagobah like a space frog with PTSD. Maybe Bail Organa and Padme could form the bones of a new republic, one not corrupted by fear and bureaucracy, but by truth and clarity forged in fire. Ahsoka would have paid a terrible price, but her path could have lit the way forward. For Luke, for Leia, for whoever picked up the torch next, and Maul. For all his rage and ambition, might have found purpose too, not redemption, but relevance. A reason to fight that wasn't just revenge. The Force has always been about balance, but maybe balance doesn't come from chosen ones or ancient texts. Maybe it comes from the ones who walk away from all of that and still choose to do what's right, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. And if there's one thing Star Wars has taught us, it's that sometimes the scariest choices are the ones that matter most. And maybe, just maybe, the darkest timeline could have saved us all. But here's the catch. None of it happened. Ahsoka didn't join Maul. Anakin wasn't stopped, and the galaxy burned for it, left with the timeline we got, full of ghosts, regrets, and ruins, because no one was willing to break the cycle when it mattered most. And that's the real tragedy. Not that Anakin fell, but that no one stopped him when they could, because it would have hurt too much, cost too much, or challenged everything they believed in. Ahsoka was the last person who could have changed it all, and she blinked. We can dream about alternate timelines all we want, about the version where Maul becomes the reluctant hero, where Ahsoka becomes the sword that cuts down fate. But Star Wars has never been about easy answers. It's about the people who fail, and what they do after the failure. Still, this story lingers for a reason, because deep down, we all wish she'd done it. Not because we hate Anakin, but because we know what comes next. The purge, the pain, the darkness. And we just want one win. One moment where someone chooses differently, and it actually works. In the end, maybe that's what makes Ahsoka's choice so powerful. Not that she said no, but that she almost said yes. And in that hesitation, we glimpse the galaxy that could have been, and the darkness that still waits just beyond the light. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy my videos, please consider looking at my pinned comment and checking out the links for my Amazon storefront. It contains my favorite Legos, my gear in which I make videos, and comics that I read on a daily basis. I update it constantly, so please, take a moment and click on the link. On top of that, check out my second channel, Critical Analysis Hub Plus, and my third channel, Critical Analysis Hub XP. Just one click would go on a long way in supporting my channels and future in YouTube.